The Constitution says that in the case of a presidential impeachment, the presiding officer is the Chief Justice. And it doesn't say a heck of a lot more than that about what that means the Chief Justice should do. Now you want me to say more. Impeachment is very serious. The reason the Chief Justice is there is he's kind of like the substitute teacher. The ordinary teacher would be the Vice President because the Vice President is the presiding officer of the Senate. But there's a problem when the president's being impeached, which is that the Vice President has a little bit of a stake in that outcome. So that's why we got to the Chief Justice in the chair. The Constitution doesn't tell the Chief Justice what the presiding officer does or should do. The Senate rules give the presiding officer the authority to decide on questions of evidence and what's relevant and what's material. But the reality is those same Senate rules also allow the Senate to overrule the Chief Justice. The really interesting question is what happens if the Senate were to split 50-50 on, say, calling John Bolton. What does the Chief Justice then do? He could cast the deciding vote, which he's permitted to do by both the rules and by the precedents, or he could say, this isn't really my job, you senators work it out for yourself. It's not certain at all that we're going to get to that point, but it's entirely conceivable, and it would be a really interesting moment. We know the president has said that if somebody like John Bolton were to be called, that he would feel like it was his responsibility to protect the office of the presidency, to assert executive privilege. What happens then? Well, as a technical matter, that's a question that either the Chief Justice could rule on or that the Chief Justice could send to the senators to decide for themselves. We're not just running willy-nilly through the president's conversations because we're vaguely curious as senators. We have articles of impeachment. They've been sent over by the House. We need to get to the bottom of what happened here. Therefore, the argument would go, executive privilege doesn't apply.